Mine are charging. My stupid headphones are charging. I forget every single time to charge one of them. I don't even know if yours are going to stay on. Well.
Should I hit record?
Yeah, go ahead. So that one's working?
Yep.
Great. Alright, so Trolls 2. Let's talk about it.
It's a really famous bad movie.
It's very famous. I think it's probably in the top 10 B movies.
Yeah.
Most people, when they first start watching shitty movies, start with The Room, Trolls 2. There's a handful of other ones.
Is it Trolls 2 or Troll 2?
I think it might be Troll 2.
Why is it singular?
That's a good question. I don't know if they thought that through very well. Troll 1 was about trolls.
But Troll 2 is about
Troll 2
goblins.
It's about goblins, which makes...
Why wasn't it called Goblins?
Right, it should have been called Goblins. The monsters look similar between the two. I don't know if you've seen Troll 1.
I haven't.
They look similar.
What did I need to see Troll 1 to understand the plot of Troll 2?
Not at all. Because they give you the plot at the very beginning with Grandpa reading a story about Peter in the woods.
Yeah.
And they have a really strange cutscene in there where the little kid pops up in the middle of the story and asks a question. And
they were trying to be artsy.
They tried a lot of artsy shit. The best one in the beginning is just how you realize within like 10 seconds that you hate the kid.
Yeah.
He's very whiny, very nasally. He says, Grandpa! A lot. But they set up the storyline with this guy named Peter in the woods, and he's being chased, or he's chasing after a beautiful woman, and she's being chased by, I guess it's a whole herd of trolls.
The what?
The trolls are chasing her.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a whole herd of them, though. It's a ton of them. And so it's just a bunch of little people in costumes. Very poorly made costumes. At this point, we've been interrupted by the troll that lives in my house, and will continue in a minute. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Grandpa and his story.
And then we find out that Grandpa's dead.
Yeah, he disappears from the room and his mom bursts in. And the kid tells his mom... she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, Grandpa was reading me a story. And then he goes, oh, and covers his mouth because he's like, I guess they've had this conversation before where she's like, your grandpa's dead. Just stop talking to me about this. You're freaking me out, kid. And his mom, God, his mom is creepy.
Yeah.
She's got like...
I thought the twist was she was going to be a troll.
I thought that too. She looks like one. She got some like jet blue eyes, and she just... I don't know. She looks scary.
Yeah, she was kind of scary.
And she's mean the whole time. Really mean.
Yeah.
And she has bad teeth. But I don't know if that's part of it. Yeah, so I guess we find out after that... I guess that scene ends and then it opens up. It has the Trolls 2 stupid... opening where the guy's running through the woods again and being chased by trolls, and then the dad, I guess, tells them after that scene that, hey, we're in an exchange program.
Yeah.
We're gonna exchange houses.
This program that doesn't exist.
Right. We're gonna exchange houses with these people in Nilbog, and they're gonna come live in our house. And then they meet them. Actually, before any of that happens, you meet his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And his daughter's like this slutty 13-year-old. And she's working out in her room in a leotard.
I thought that her thing was going to be that she was like really physically fit, but it's never brought up again.
Right, because she's sitting there for like 20 minutes just freaking jacking 75 pounds up and down, which she weighs 75 pounds. So you're like, holy crap, this girl's an Olympian. So... she's in there working out, and her little brother's in the next room, like, dreaming, and he's scared of goblins and all this kind of crap. And a boy knocks on the window, and the little kid opens up the window, and Macaulay Culkin screams.
Yeah.
And the guy outside the window screams too and falls off the ladder. And then just moves the ladder over to his sister's room. And the little boy's like, goblins aren't real. Goblins aren't real.
Even though he clearly saw a human being.
He just saw,
in his window.
he saw some teenage kid. He thought he was a goblin. So the boy goes into his sister's room. And this is... It's sad that this is worth noting because half of the storyline is about this girl and this guy.
Yeah.
And how much their relationship is just stupid. And she tells him that basically before she has sex with him, he has to stop hanging out with his friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what's wrong with having friends?
Yeah.
And his friends peek in the window while they're talking, and she gets mad. And so she tells them that they're leaving town for this exchange program. And he tells her, I'll be there. I'm coming. I'll be there. And they leave. They get out the window, and then the next day they pack up and leave, and they're driving down the highway. And I guess the little kid starts dreaming while they're driving. There's a lot of just like bullshit scenes in there to make up time.
Yeah.
And he's dreaming about like sweating green, and then like his mom and dad turn around in the car and they're goblins, and he's freaking out, and he wakes up really quickly, and everyone in the car is like, what's wrong? And he just had a bad dream, and immediately after that you see her boyfriend in a camper driving down the highway.
Yeah.
With his friends.
Where'd they get the camper? I don't know.
They didn't say.
I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, they have an RV basically, and they stopped on the side of the road, and they see his girlfriend's car driving down the road, and she flips him off from inside the car, which is like half a mile away, and they see it somehow because you can see the camera view from their point, and it's like really
and you
far
can't see
away.
into the car.
So that guy, her boyfriend, has tricked his friends to come in with him, even though he said that he wouldn't hang out with his friends. I don't get it. This guy clearly wants to have sex with this girl.
And he brings three of his friends
with him, and they're all living in this camper, and basically they're in the camper for the whole movie. But on this scene where they drive past him and they see each other, it's really weird because nothing happens.
Yeah.
No one, like, they don't chase after them. She doesn't tell her dad to stop. Hey, my boyfriend's over here. They just see each other. And then after that, Grandpa tells the kid, like, well, he doesn't tell him, but he sees Grandpa on the side of the highway with a sign that says, tell them to stop. And so he makes him stop, and he runs back to Grandpa, and he's like, Grandpa, what are you doing here? And he's like, you have to tell him to stop. You're the only person that can. Don't go to Nilbog. And his dad goes, what are you doing? And he turns around, and Grandpa's now a homeless man who's like, are you going to give me a ride or what?
Like how the homeless man wasn't concerned that the kid was talking to him about goblins and stuff.
Yeah, because he was having a one-sided conversation staring at him.
And he was still willing to get into the car.
Like, this is safe. So we've had Grandpa tell him like twice not to go to Nilbog or about goblins. And I don't know. Up till this point in the movie, they're trying to set up like the horror part of it, but they're trying to put in some cheesy humor as well.
Yeah.
And it's not. Both of them are half-assed, so you got a quarter-assed movie so far. They finally make it to Nilbog and meet the other family at their house, and they exchange keys.
Yeah. I don't know what this exchange program is, where you give a stranger your keys and they live in your house for a month.
I don't know.
Like leave work for a month.
Yeah, you'd have to take vacation.
I assume they have jobs.
I mean, if you're willing to do this, you may not, but they took a whole month off just to go hang out in Nilbog, which is oh Lord, excuse me, I'm tired.
it's a town of 26 people, and so 4 of them are living in that house, and the rest of them hang out at the general store all day.
But that exchange was really weird when they handed over the keys. They were telling them, they're like, you'll love our house. We have all the modern conveniences. Yeah. We have a microwave.
As the other family's loading up into their car.
And they're just walking away the whole time they're talking. They're like, we have a washing machine and dryer. And it's like, all right, they're not Amish. They know what this shit is. You're not impressing them.
Family's like driving away and he's telling them about his appliances.
They're driving away. He's still like, we have a refrigerator. It's like, come on, you asshole. They know what all this stuff is. They finally get in the house and they find a meal prepared for them,
which has like odd green spread on everything.
Yeah, everything's covered in green icing.
And there's this like ambiguous green liquid that they're supposed to drink.
Yeah, it's Kool-Aid, but it's green.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why they had to make the food look a different way to let you know that the goblins had poisoned it. I feel like that could have just been like a plot point discussion rather than make the food look weird. But everything they did was like green icing on top of it. Like the hamburgers had like it was like a green patty that was made out of icing.
Yeah. And no one had any problem with it.
Yeah, no one's. I mean, you're not gonna see that and be like, I could eat a green patty right now. So they go inside to eat the food, and Grandpa appears again. He's like, you're gonna have 30 seconds to stop them. Yeah. It's up to you. If they eat that food, they'll die. And then all of a sudden, time freezes.
The grandpa suddenly has the power to freeze time. Once.
Yeah, once. He doesn't do it again for anybody.
But he doesn't use this to save them at all. He just uses it to put the kid through a test.
Right. So the kid's like walking around for more than 30 seconds. He's walking around like looking at his family who's all frozen, and like they're all
twitching.
Yeah, they're all trying to hold something still, but it's like shaking. And he like finally about 45 seconds later is like, I've got to do something. And then he stands up on the chair and he's like, I don't want to, but I have to. And he starts unzipping his pants. And the next scene is them, like, bringing him up to his room. And what does his dad say? It's like, well, you can't piss on hospitality. So he basically tells you.
They're, like, scrubbing they're throwing the food away because you're supposed to assume that he peed on all the food. And then his dad's carrying him up the stairs, and he's like looking at all the doors, and he's like, you see these signs? And they have all their names on them. And you're like, what is he talking about? It's like, you know what this is? It's hospitality. And he throws the kid on his bed, and he's like, you can't piss on hospitality.
And he starts taking off his belt, and we're like, all right, he's about to either pee on that kid, or he's going to whip him with his belt. And he says some really stupid line, like he adjusts his belt one notch in, and he's like, I'm tightening my belt to stave off the hunger pains. He's like, if you want to play this game, I could play this for a long time. I grew up hungry.
Yeah.
So he's having a starvation contest with his child. And the kid the whole time is trying to tell him that Grandpa told him to do it. So they didn't think that they should, take him to a mental institution after he's been seeing Grandpa for 6 months and he just pissed on an entire table because Grandpa told him to. Seems like some really psychotic shit that they need to address with their child.
Yeah.
It's probably the next school shooter. I mean, geez, that's some crazy behavior and nobody says anything about it. After that, the movie gets really convoluted. It just goes back and forth. I don't even know what order everything happened in, to be honest.
I can't remember what order everything.
There's a lot.
I think the next big thing was when one of the kids goes outside the camper and sees a woman running from the trolls. Is that the next big thing? Then they find the house?
Not quite. Because her boyfriend ends up coming with them. She's with the family, or he's with the family at some point. Like early on, he starts hanging out with the family. I think she shows up at the camper, slaps him a couple times.
Oh yeah, and then he goes off with her.
Yeah, and
Her dad comes and he's like, "You need to stay away from your good for nothing friends, or you can't hang out with my daughter." And it's like, this dude is basically saying, "You can have sex with my daughter if you just stay away from your friends."
Yeah.
That's practically what he said to her. Very disturbing. But yeah, so the boyfriend ends up with the family. The 3 guys are in the camper, so the storyline pretty much goes away from the family for a long time, and it goes to the 3 boys in the camper. So like one of them runs into town. He puts on really short shorts and a backpack and runs into town.
Yeah.
And he ends up at a general store where there's 15, 20 people outside of it staring at him. Really awkwardly. And they put him in cowboy clothes, and some of them had like Stetsons on, just big cowboy hats. And he walks into the door and he asks the guy for, what did he ask him for? I think he asked him for like a thing of bologna or something.
Yeah.
No, it was ham.
Yeah.
He asked him for ham, and the general store owner was like, "Oh, yuck!" Like really strangely. And he's like, "Well, do you have like eggs?" And he's like, "Oh, ugh!" And he starts spitting on the floor. He's like, "Okay, what do you have?" And he's like, "We have good old Nilbog milk." He's like, "Don't you know we're all vegetarians here?" And so he takes the milk and he starts. What did he do? He like left.
Yeah, he just
And the
left
sheriff,
with the milk.
the sheriff like stops.
He's gonna
him.
run back to the camper in the hot sun with milk.
With milk, yeah, to drink milk. And he ends up like drinking part of it.
And it's like
It's
like expired.
Yeah, it's really expired, gross milk. It's all lumpy and shit. And he's jogging through the woods and he finds that house.
But the other friend's already been there, hasn't he?
Yes. So
So
yeah,
while he was doing that,
that's the side storyline. So they do both of these things simultaneously, basically. But that's how that kid gets to the house.
which looks like a church.
Right. The other kid, that's when he sees a girl running.
Yeah.
What is that kid's name?
I don't know anyone's name in this
I
story.
think it's Alfred.
I don't know.
I think it's Alfred. Alfred is the really short kid.
Okay.
And so he sees, like, the whole time they've been talking about this place in Nilbog, they think Nilbog is just full of, like, hot, wet women.
Yeah, that's what he told them to get his friends to come, which I don't know why he wanted his friends to come so badly.
It doesn't
If they didn't want
sense.
to come in the first place, just leave them.
Well, yeah, and more women for you, right? I mean, what is he thinking? But so Alfred sees a, cute girl running through the woods, like, freaking out. And he, like, starts chasing after her. And he's like, hey, wait. And he's like trying to run her down. And he finally catches her. He like half tackles her, which is a little aggressive if you're trying to pick up chicks. But he half attacks her. And after he gets her on the ground, she's like, they're chasing me. And he's like, who? And they look behind him and it's all the goblins coming out with like wooden pitchforks.
Yeah.
She's bleeding green.
Yeah.
So he picks her up and they go to the house.
And it looks like a small church from the outside, but when they get inside, it looks like it's from Halloween Town.
Yeah, it's got a big bed in it, and it's got a cauldron.
It's like a cauldron. And 2 of the stones from Stonehenge.
Right. Yeah, it's got 2 Stonehenge stones, a cauldron with dry ice in it, of course, and then a giant bed in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it's got like a second-story balcony type deal. Well, they run in there, and the girl, she gets up on the second-story balcony. Somehow she ends up on the second-story balcony, and the goblins get inside, and they're all like running up the stairs after her. And for some reason, Arnold, or whatever his name is, Alfred, is on the ground floor, and a weird, jacked up looking lady comes out.
Yeah, she's like a scientist witch.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
She's like affecting an accent, but I can't tell what it is.
I'm sorry, the goblins don't come in yet.
No.
What happens is she comes out and she's like, what are you doing in my home?
Yeah. It's like she's trying to have some sort of accent, but it's ambiguous.
It does, yeah. It's very ambiguous. And when they tell her like, "Oh, we're being chased," she's like, "Here, have some hot cocoa."
Yeah.
And she gives them like drinks, and they drink it, and that's when he like can't move, and the girl's like running away.
Yeah, she goes to the balcony.
She goes to the balcony, and that's when the trolls come after her, and he's stuck on the ground because he can't move next to the weird lady.
She melts into a goo.
She melts into they clearly cut out a person-shaped hole, filled it with stuff, and her head was sticking out of it while she's screaming, and the goblins are like eating the goo, and he's on the bottom floor, and it's one of the most iconic B-movie moments when he's looking up with very little emotion and just goes, "They're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god!" And she's dying up there. That's actually exactly the voice that he does.
Yeah.
That was the extent of his acting.
Yeah, he didn't commit.
Yeah, and so he's starting to grow like limbs and stuff out of him. He's becoming a plant because apparently we kind of learn at this point that the goblins are vegetarians that only eat people they've turned into plants.
Yes. It's a really specific diet.
They can't just eat foliage. They have to eat people that are plants. So that cuts away from that scene, and it actually goes back to the little boy when he's skateboarding in the city with his dad.
Yeah, they went to go find food or something.
Yeah, and he ends up in the church, not the church that we just saw, but in a barn that is a church for the goblin people that live in the city.
But before that, he sees the street sign, right?
I thought it was right after. No, it was right before. You're right.
Because they're looking down the main street and no one's there.
Right.
And his dad falls asleep.
Yeah, his dad passes out just instantly.
Yeah.
And he looks in the rear view of the car window and he sees the Nilbog sign. And he goes, "Nilbog? It spells goblin backwards." And so we've now discovered that the town has goblins in it.
Yeah, in case they didn't know at this point that there's a bunch of goblins in the town.
But yeah, he sees that and then he hears people inside that barn.
Yeah.
And he runs over at the barn with his skateboard, and he gets up on the second story and he's listening to the preacher. And the preacher's talking about fire and brimstone type stuff. And
isn't he saying, like, just how disgusting meat is or something?
He's talking about how disgusting it is to eat meat and the rotten flesh of animals and weird stuff like that. The little kid's up on the second story with his skateboard, and his skateboard slides down a hole, and he looks over at the skateboard and he looks down in the hole, and the preacher's hand grabs his face and pulls him through the hole. And so they're sitting around him now, the whole congregation, and they're trying to feed him ice cream, but it's
the stuff that turns you into a plant.
Yeah, but what was it? I don't know what they
It
made
wasn't
it out
ice
of.
cream.
No, they like poured milk on top of it, and then they put like green icing on top of it. It looked gross. They couldn't afford to use ice cream apparently, but he's supposed to eat the ice cream and turn into a goblin, and his dad shows up and he grabs his kid and he's like, "What the hell are y'all doing to my son?" They're like, "Oh, we're just trying to feed him ice cream. Sorry for the misunderstanding."
And the dad sees the family from earlier sitting in the congregation. He's like, "What are you doing here?" They're like, "We had car trouble.
We will be leaving this evening."
He's like, "Okay."
All right, bye.
And then I fell asleep at this point for a little bit.
Well, you didn't miss anything, actually, because then it goes into the storyline with basically...
They go back to the house, right?
Yeah, basically the little boy and his dad leave and come back to the house, and all of the people they just saw in the town are at their house already with a band and food everywhere, like disgusting looking green stuff everywhere. And the band's playing this really bad, twangy, weird country music, and they're all line dancing to it. And the little boy's like trying to get his family out of there. He sees Grandpa in the mirror again. Every time he looks at a mirror, he sees Grandpa. And no one will believe him.
and then it flashes over to like you're wondering. I guess you're supposed to be wondering what's going to happen there. Well, it flashes over to the camper again, and there's the last guy is in the camper, and he's watching TV, and all of a sudden, the really creepy lady from the church is somehow not ugly anymore. I mean, she's not like super hot, but she doesn't have weird makeup on to make her ugly, and she's walking up to the camper, but he sees it on the TV. And she's trying to be sexy, and she's got a piece of corn in her hand, a full ear of corn, and she's like dancing with it.
Yeah,
and
he's really confused. He's like hitting the TV.
Yeah, and she says to him like, "It's not a dream. I am real.
Yeah,
come outside." And he comes outside, and there's not much dialogue that I remember from it.
She's just like, "Do you want to share it?" Like,
yeah,
corn.
Yeah, she's like, "Do you want to share?" And so she like starts rubbing the corn on him, and then they start eating the corn.
They go
together.
into the camper.
Yeah,
and she shows him the corn cob, and he's like, she's like, you must be really hungry. And he's like, yeah, I love popcorn.
Yeah, he says, I love popcorn.
And she's like,
got an ear of corn.
And she's like, that's okay. All we have to do is heat it up. And she puts it between their two mouths, and all of a sudden, like, popcorn starts.
Yeah. It gets buried in popcorn. I love that scene because, like, that lady is probably 35 and that kid is maybe 16. Yeah. And so it's kind of disturbing to watch. But he gets buried in popcorn.
What you're expecting at this point from the internal logic of the movie is that he's going to turn into a plant so they can eat them.
Right, after he ate the food.
Yeah, but after that, they never cut back to him. He doesn't turn into a plant. He's just buried in popcorn. Right. And she leaves.
Yeah. She just, like, I guess she forgot to bring the right piece of corn or something, and so she couldn't eat him, so she just had sex with a minor for no reason. Oh my god. So that takes the third friend out of the equation.
And that's when I came back on the movie. I fell asleep when they leave the barn, and then I woke up to that scene.
Right. And so it comes back to the kid that drank the milk. You know, he's finally stumbled to the church.
Oh,
and he comes in and he sees his friend who's now a plant person. Yeah. And so he's in a pot. His legs are tree roots. His mouth has an I Am Groot mask on it. And so his friend rips the mask off of his face, and he's trying to act like he can't move still. So he's barely opening his mouth. And he's like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. And he starts dragging the pot out. And, gosh, what even happened to that kid?
I don't know.
I don't really remember what happened to those two, because I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on it. Like, they just kind of cut away. Or did that lady come back and kill him?
She probably killed them.
It's so bad, I don't remember all of it.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't really have a plot line. You can just take any scene out of context, and it makes just as much sense as if you watch the movie in order.
Well, that's how most of these movies are. Every single movie that's like this, you could take it and jumble it up, and it wouldn't be any different, as long as the ending's the same. But finally it comes back to the house where the daughter has seen Grandpa in the mirror this time, and so she believes her little brother.
Yeah.
And he's like, see, I told you I've been seeing Grandpa. And they're all sitting in the house.
Having like a seance or something?
Well, no, not the seance part. When they're all in the house and like they're about to like feed them, the little boy comes in and somehow he has a hamburger. And he eats a hamburger in front of them and they all leave.
Is that what happened?
Yes. He starts eating meat in front of them and they all go outside because they can't stand it.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they're all inside the house trying to figure out what to do whenever they have a seance with Grandpa to ask him how to win. Which I don't remember the seance very well.
He's just like, concentrate, and they don't know on what. He just says concentrate, and then all of a sudden Grandpa comes down in like a flash of light.
He just beams down.
Yeah, and then he gives the kid the backpack. And he's like, whatever you do, only use this when you really need to. Like the contents of the backpack.
What was in the backpack?
Like a bologna sandwich or something.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's at the end, though. When he uses the bologna
How did they get him out of the house?
How do they get out of the house? I don't remember.
I don't either.
I don't think it was important.
I don't. Just at one point.
All I know is at some point they end up at the church, not the church, the creepy house again, where the lady
Right.
was.
How do I not remember how they got out of the house?
I think they just.
Oh no, the kid. I'm sorry. The grandpa beams him away, and he's replaced with a goblin. Remember, because the kid passes out on the table after the seance, and they're like, Jacob, or whatever his name is. And he pops back up, and he's a goblin. The goblins are in the house, and so the family has to run upstairs.
I do remember that. So they run away then.
Yeah. So the kid and the grandpa are now at the creepy
at
house.
the creepy house.
Where the
with
stones from Stonehenge were the source of the goblin's power.
What did they throw in there?
I don't know.
Was it the lady?
No, they just
did they
he was like,
just
only
close
the
it?
power of goodness.
Yeah.
He's reaching out to the kid, and then he disappears, and the family has escaped, and they join him, and he's like, touch the stone.
Yeah, touch the stone.
And then he's like, oh, Grandpa gave me this thing that I only use when I really need to, because now all the goblins and the lady are closing in, and it's a double-decker bologna sandwich. Which is more than double-decker. I think there were like 8 pieces of bologna between 2 hamburger buns, which is wretched. That is disgusting.
Yeah, no wonder they were throwing up and dying.
Yeah. And so obviously the goblins hate meat.
And so they were staying away from him, and while they were healing the stones, and then they all disappeared.
Yeah, because he was about to eat it, and the evil lady was like, think of the cholesterol. And he bites the sandwich, and they all like start bleeding and dying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's one goblin that looks like it has an extra chromosome.
Yeah.
There's one like that they half-ass the mask so bad that it doesn't look right at all.
And that's the one they always focus
It's
on.
always the one that they zoom in on. They're like, yeah, that one looks really messed up.
Yeah, I was pretty drunk towards the end of that movie. It was hard to remember.
And then they drive home.
With the boyfriend?
Yeah, with the boyfriend.
They just left his RV there.
They left everyone else to die.
That's really funny, like that no one called the police. Like,
No. And what was the other girl doing in the town? She was just alone visiting that town?
yeah, that's where all the hot chicks go, Matt. They just show up
Because the
there.
other 26 people are all goblins.
Right.
Isn't the whole town's population
The whole
goblins?
town is goblins. Yeah, the other girl, I don't know what she was doing.
What was she doing there alone? Or maybe maybe
Maybe she was in the exchange program.
Yeah.
She traded with some goblin girl.
They're like, did you ever notice that the people in the Nilbog exchange program never come back?
Have you noticed that the people in the Nilbog exchange program are actually closer to autistic than anything else because they don't speak at all?
Yeah. And then there's like the classic horror movie twist at the end of the movie
I was drunk, Matthew. I don't remember.
where they're all home and everything seems fine, and the kid's alone in the house with his mom.
Yeah.
She's like, don't you want the food? It's great. And she's
Yeah.
eating an apple. She won't say apple. She just says fruit, which convinces me they didn't know what fruit would be on hand when they wrote the script. She's like, eat the fruit. The fruit is delicious. It's just an apple. It's all apples. It's a bowl of apples.
I do remember that.
He's like, no. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go take a shower. And the kid's hanging out in the house, and a ball rolls down the stairs. And it's
got
written on,
writing on
like,
it.
yum. And it takes like 30 seconds for him to read the whole message. It's on the whole. It's like, yum. Mommy tastes so good.
Which, thank God it was goblins that just killed her, not like somebody raping her.
Yeah.
This movie could have taken a really dark turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets out there and like the shower's totally
There's
green.
like a green handprint on the, and then he runs back downstairs, and her like plant-based body is on the table. And there's all these goblins eating the goo, and one looks up at him, and it's like, "Do you want some, Jacob?" And then it fades to black.
Oh my gosh. Trolls 3 needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, have you seen the Leprechaun movies?
Yes.
We've watched a couple of them, I think.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Leprechaun movie.
Very similar. But the Leprechaun movies, like, just didn't stop. Like, there's, like, Leprechaun.
There's a lot.
I think it might be up to 8.
That's Warwick Davis's bread and butter, I feel like.
Is he in all of them?
Yeah, I think he's in all of them. He's the leprechaun.
I mean, I remember he's in
He's
one
in
and
most of
two.
them.
I don't remember if he's in all the rest of them, but there's like... There's one where I think the leprechaun is black and does Back to the Hood.
What?
Leprechaun Back to
No,
the
I
Hood.
feel like it was Warwick Davis who was in Back to the Hood.
Really?
I think it was. Because the leprechaun's not like... They're not trying to make him like ethnic.
Huh.
I remember that movie. It
misremembering
was so
it.
bad. That's the one where they have to put it on the they put the bullet with the lucky charm or whatever.
Well, now I like have to look this up. I have to know if Warwick Davis is in this.
They put the leprechaun in a lot of different scenarios.
Leprechaun in the Hood. It was made in 2000. You're right. The leprechaun's not black. And Warwick Davis is in it.
Yeah.
And Ice-T's in it.
Oh my god, he is.
Oh my gosh, we have to watch this one next.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen these. The Leprechaun movies are great, but yeah, I think with Trolls they should follow the Leprechaun suit and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
The first Leprechaun had someone famous in it.
Oh, from Friends. What's her name?
Yeah.
I forgot her name. The one that had a career after Friends.
Yeah, but every movie she's in, she's terrible at it.
But yeah, I think that's like her first movie was Leprechaun.
Oh, what is your name?
She played Rachel.
She's not even like... Oh, Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
Yeah, she... Almost every movie she's in is just awful.
Yeah.
I can't think of one good movie she's in.
No.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like those romantic comedies.
Yeah, but she's not even good at that. She was better in Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a special ed guy in the first Leprechaun? Like a big dude?
I mean, they didn't say it, but it was...
Yeah,
I think
it was obvious.
It was
He had
coded to be...
He had learning disabilities of some
Yeah.
sort.
It's kind of messed up.
We need to go back and watch that movie.
Yeah, that's a classic. But there's an annoying kid in that one, too.
Yeah, there's always... I mean, that's the best B movie, is put the most annoying kid you can in it. The only... I mean, even The Room had an annoying kid in it. Denny.
Oh, God.
God, if I feel like if I ever meet that guy in real life, I'm going to have to punch him in the face.
He has a very punchable face.
He has the most punchable face I've ever seen. And just the way he acts, I'm not even sure if it's really acting. But he's supposed to be like in high school, but he's clearly 38.
Yeah.
He's like a baby face 38-year-old.
Yeah, it's like receding hairline and everything.
Really creepy. Oh my gosh. Well, what else is going on?
In general?
In general, I don't know. We talk about Trolls today. We can talk about whatever else.
I don't know.
I think we've established... Oh. I won't say who told me this, but somebody told me about a movie that we need to watch that is pretty close to pornographic, so I don't know... And when I say pretty close to pornographic, I'm talking it is pornographic. And the only reason I knew what they were talking about, so what this person told me is they rented a movie off of Netflix back when they used to ship DVDs because it won a bunch of awards. It's called Brown Bunny. Yeah, I didn't know what it was either, except for maybe a year ago I was looking at bad movies and this movie came up and like everyone like it had like really good like art festival type reviews, and I was like, all right, still probably a piece of crap. Why is this thing getting so much attention online? Well, there's a scene in it where this dude just like blows a load on this girl's face. Like this is not like CGI or anything. Like this actually happened in the movie. Like it's pornography.
What?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure what the movie is even about, but if they went far enough as to have someone ejaculate on one of their actresses, it's got to be horrible.
Oh my god. What's it even about?
I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. That's the only thing people talk about online, is that this happened in their movie. So it's just the most pornographic thing you could possibly put in a movie, and somehow it got a bunch of awards at festivals. Which reminds me of The Witch, because it's like, if you even try to do something like semi-artsy. Like if you have one scene in your movie where, all right, this dude blows a load on her face, like people are like, wow, that's out there, that's amazing, we should have more of this, even though it's stupid. Well, The Witch was kind of like that in the sense that they tried to have fake accents.
Oh yeah.
That, like, everyone, like, the reviews on that movie were amazing. That movie was the biggest pile of dog shit I think I've seen in a theater.
It was so boring.
It was so boring. But there's a lot of movies like that we need to start watching.
Yeah.
You decide what movie we'll watch next time.
Okay.
You keep saying you're going to pick one, but I threw out a couple of them for you.
All right. I'll have to see.
Maybe we don't watch Brown Bunny.
Yeah.
that one sounds a little bit too much for me. Okay. Well, we'll do it again soon.
Okay.
All right.